Hello, lovelies. Welcome back to my channel. This is the final video of the 31 Days of Tarot Challenge. We're into February, but I had to, I had to record this video because I needed to finish it up. There's only 4 more prompts left, and we got severely derailed in the gun household. Just a lot of stuff, you guys. And you'll see in the next video in my January recap here, the first month of January, or the first month of 2019, first month of January, it felt like January was a full year. But the first month of 2019, just, this was a hard one to get through. So without further ado, let's just jump into it, okay? We are going through the last 4 days. We're going through day 28, 29, 30, and 31. And 28, that day's prompt is, what is your go-to tarot book and why? My go-to tarot book. You guys have probably heard me talk about it time and time again. It is Tarot Plain and Simple by Anthony Lewis. And the reason for that is just because it's the one I've had the longest. You know, it's been my ride or die book. However, I did purchase some additional books at the end of 2018 and also at the beginning of 2018 that are slowly starting to become my new tarot favorites, I guess. And a couple of those books are from Benebellin. So I would say right now it's still Tarot Plain and Simple, but it's probably going to be replaced with Holistic Tarot by Benebellin. This book is like a college level course book on tarot. My goodness. It's basically on my list to read the entire thing this year. Like, that is one of my personal goals. And it's a really large book. Like, it's enormous. It's the size of probably 3 of Anthony's Tarot Plain and Simple. If I were to like stack them next to each other, like 3, one on top of the other, like that's how large Benebell's book is. It's pretty gnarly. And so it's on my list to kind of go through. I have a lot of tarot books, you guys. I also have from, Lo Scarabeo, Tarot Fundamentals, Tarot Experience, Tarot Compendium. I purchased all 3 volumes during the Tarot Compendium's Kickstarter. And so I have all of those to get through. Tarot Interactions I got towards the middle of the year. And I really, I'm excited for that one to really dive in. 2018, and that's part of the reason why I'm doing a depth year, because 2018 was really a year of buying things and then not having the time to enjoy them. 2 other books that I bought that I didn't have time to enjoy are sitting here to remind me to go through them. Like, that's how bad it is, you guys. They're sitting right in front of me so that I keep looking at them and going, shit, I need to crack into that book. And one of them is Anthony's follow-up, Tarot Beyond the Basics. And other than flipping through it once, I think, have I actually cracked into reading this? No. Why? Because I'm a freaking dork. That's why. And then also Mary K. Greer, who is a tarot goddess in her own right. This is the Tarot for Yourself workbook. This had been on my wish list for years, for freaking years. And I finally bought it because I was like, do I have time to go through a workbook on tarot? And I bought it last year and just, it looks brand new. Like, I got it yesterday, right? But that's because it has been sitting here unopened. So to say my go-to tarot book is, you know, Anthony's, it's just because it's the one that, you know, has been sitting, that I've been using the longest. Because I am horrible with keeping up with my reading. It's, you know, I make excuses, not having time for this, not having time for that, and yet, you know, will sit down with my husband and binge watch a series on Netflix when really I should be going through these books. So it's on my list, and have a very, very strong feeling that even with all of these other yummy, juicy books, that Holistic Tarot is probably going to end up being my new go-to tarot book. Prompt 29. How do you feel about tarot deck modification? Do you draw on your decks, trim the borders, or is it a no-go for you, and why? I have not modified any of my tarot decks, but it's not because I'm against tarot deck modification. Okay. Wanting to throw that out there. I actually love tarot deck modification. Some of my favorite videos on YouTube in the tarot community are watching folks modify their decks, and I'm like, ooh, this is inspiring. And I'm such an artsy person that personalizing a deck in that way to work for you, I think, is phenomenal. I love it. My problem is that I'm such a OCD perfectionist that I have a fear that I'm going to just destroy the deck in the act of attempting to modify it. I think after I modify one deck and get that kind of under my belt, that I would be a lot more comfortable doing it with, you know, a lot of other decks. But yeah, I just haven't. I have picked up modified decks from other folks, like my Marielle Tarot that I showed you guys earlier in the video series is modified. Love what, you know, the prior owner did with it, so I'm pretty happy with it. And I think it adds, like I said, a level of personality to your own deck, and it put your energy into it, like you're stamping into it, like this is yours. But I haven't. And there's also, to be clear, there's very few decks in my collection that I would probably do that with, that I would want to modify. And a lot of it would probably be, you know, because of the borders that they have. But even looking at the decks that I have out that I use the most, I'm not sure that I would, you know, that I would trim them. I might do that with the Blessed Be Oracle, maybe the Messenger one. And again, that's because those have really thick borders, and it's not going to detract from the actual image on the card. But I just haven't. And the good news with those is that they're mass produced. So worst case scenario, I really butcher the hell out of the deck and screw up the modification, I can go out and I can buy a new deck. But I wouldn't do that with, say, like, you know, an indie deck. Just because of my own personal perfectionist tendencies. You know, I wouldn't want to ruin it, especially something like this. You know, the first edition is out of print. If you guys missed getting the first edition of the Spirit Keepers Tarot, I would highly recommend going to Benabelle's website and pre-ordering the second edition, which she's working on right now. Pre-orders, I think, are open until March. You know, so I would get on that because we're already in February. You know, but see where you have the borders here? You know, and you could potentially just trim the white on each of these sides, but you know, it's also gold foiled. So I don't know that I would want to lose the gold foil on each side. You know, I could, because it is a black and white deck, paint this one. But I think what I would rather do, because this is first edition, it's sold out, it's, you know, first edition's out of print, I would want to, because she has it available to do that, not a lot of indie artists do, but the printouts that she had before she even printed this, because her original intention wasn't to print the deck. It was to give us the images so that we could then print them out ourselves and work with them. I would get that copy printed off of probably playingcards.com and then color that one myself. You know, I have all of the files. I already downloaded them because seeing, you know, these in my own personal, you know, flare of color would be really cool too. So that might be something that I would do. But like I said, when it comes to like an out of print indie deck, seeing somebody else modify it is like, you know, really cool. And like I said, I'm not against it, but for me, I don't have the guts to do it with a deck like this. But like I said, with a mass produced deck, like, you know, Blessed Be Oracle, where I can pick up a second copy if I just totally annihilate it, I can do that. I haven't. There aren't, really, I don't have any decks at the moment that are jarring enough to me where I really feel an intense need to modify them first before I can work with them. That's kind of where I'm at. Number 30. Do you carry out predictive tarot readings? Yes, no, why? I do. I do predictive tarot. However, caveat, I'm also a big believer that our timeline is pretty fluid. Like, I know that, you know, there's a lot of science behind time is an illusion. Everything's just kind of already, you know, every point in time is happening simultaneously. Our timelines are fixed thing, but we're experiencing them in a linear fashion. I don't know. I just know what I experience. And in my experience of doing predictive tarot readings is that when I perform these readings, I'm seeing the most likely outcome for the pathway that either myself or my client is on at the moment. Which means if we keep going with what we've been doing and what we have planned to do, that this is the likely outcome, right? So based on that information, you know, we can then change the course that we're on. We can move stuff out of the way. We can shift. We can change our trajectory just by knowing that information. So I'm a big believer in doing predictive tarot readings to kind of see, okay, what's the likely outcome of what I'm, you know, the path that I'm walking down? And do I want to hop off? Do I want to walk down a different path? So I do read predictively and offer that to my clients, but I don't consider it fixed. I don't consider any of the outcomes fixed. Just by having the information, we can change it. You know, kind of like Neo in the Matrix, when he knocks over the Oracle's face and she goes, ah, but would you have still knocked it over if I hadn't told you were going to knock it over? So once we have that information, we can then choose to either keep going down that path or change it. You know, is basically how I go about with that. And then the last question. What question or questions do you most often ask the tarot for yourself and for others? Wow, okay. I think for me, the questions that I ask a lot tend to be about either blockages, like what am I not seeing in order to make an informed decision, or to kind of, you know, again, in that predictive tarot vein, what are the likely outcomes of the options that I have? And kind of doing a multiple choice spread. So it's usually one or the other for me. I like to know where my blocks are, what I'm not seeing, what I'm being blind to, and then what's coming down the road, not just of what I'm on, but in multiple options. For clients, what questions do I get the most? Will I get back with my ex? This is a huge one. I think everybody might get that one a lot. I've gotten that one a lot, most recently, because I think Valentine's Day is coming up. You know, we had the new year. A lot of people have been asking that one recently, and it comes in cycles. And then another one, I work a lot with clients who struggle. And, you know, maybe it's just the energy that we went through in 2018 and 2017 and now here still carrying into 2019. But one of the major questions that I also get are, you know, from clients who are struggling with their current job or career. So that comes up a lot too, is what will happen if I leave this job is actually a big question that I get a lot. What, you know, if I leave, what's going to happen to me? Because that makes everybody nervous, right? We get stuck into something for so long. And I think a lot of the times we put up with the punishment and the toll it takes on our mental health and even sometimes physical health, just because we need that income. Our whole world operates on the exchange of money. Sad but true. And we're trained from birth to need that, to go after that, to chase that down. And when we have to move from a stable paycheck to uncertainty, it freaks everybody out. And we're willing to put up with some of the most awful shit imaginable just because we don't want to deal with that uncertainty. It's striking to see the damage we do to ourselves and our relationships because we're afraid of not having money. It's really, it's eye-opening. So that's another that's probably is the number one question that I get, is what'll happen if I leave this job. And so working through career readings is probably like the number one thing that I do, if I were to add everything up, with relationships being really close second. Yeah, so that's it. What did you guys think of this challenge? Did you make it through all of the prompts? Like me, did you have to dive into February to get this all wrapped up? By the way, how many people, I'm recording this on February 3rd, how many people really love the fact that that today is 2319? If you're a parent, you know what I mean. We have a 2319. I've had all of my girlfriends who are parents post memes about that all day. And I've actually heard more about that than the Super Bowl, which, by the way, that game, just like, wow. I'm not even going to talk about it because it's going to make me mad. So we're just going to end on that note. Today was a 2319 all the way around. I hope that you guys had a better day. I hope that you guys have an incredible week. And I will catch you all in the next video. But that is a wrap for 2019, 31 Days of Tarot. Hopefully 2020s will be much more organized. We shall see. Okay. Thank you guys for sticking it out and watching. And I will catch you all in the next video. Until then, my loves, blessed be.